loan more recently at Hamburg. Here's Dari, he's going to try his luck, it's a good effort, the goalkeeper's made a mess of it, and the Dutch lead. Well, it was a goalkeeping error more than a thunderous strike, but it was still well hit by Brahim Dari, and the Dutch have made another flying start. They were 2-0 up inside 6 minutes against Costa Rica. They're a goal up against the United States inside 10. But my goodness me, Cody Cropper should have saved that. Catchable height, he's just let it go through his fingers. And the man who plays for Southampton's under-21s has had a bit of a nightmare start. And the Dutch have their lead. I'm sure that when Dari saw the flight of that ball, he didn't expect to be celebrating. It was a real mess by Cropper. In England in March for Cheltenham against Portsmouth in League Two. That's nicely worked by the Americans. There is a chance here. He wants too many touches perhaps. It's deflected. It'll come out to Kieswetter. He'll drive it, and he'll drive it into the net. Equaliser for the United States. Thought the chance had gone initially, and it was a thunderous strike in the end by Jerome Kieswetter. And the Americans have parity midway through the opening half. Initially blocked, nice touch, and then he's absolutely thundered it inside that post. It's a really good finish. And Jerome Kieswetter, who plays for the reserves in Stuttgart in Germany, gets his first goal of the Toulon tournament, only America's second. And they have parity. The pattern of first half goals continues. So the Dutch led for around 9 minutes. It's an even game again. A draw would certainly suit France, who'll be watching on ahead of their encounter with Qatar, who haven't yet figured in the group. And, thinking that if the US can nick a point off the Dutch, that would suit the French very well, were they to pick out Green, another of the German-based contingent. Here's Hernandez. Now Alashi. So close to making it 2-1 a moment ago with that wonderful strike that was met with an even better save. The Americans have a free kick here. It's a decent opportunity for them. Julian Green, who always wears boots to match his surname, has his sights set. You've already seen Bertram's produce one magnificent save from an effort from distance. This one's certainly within range. Jesse Green, who scored a senior World Cup goal a year ago, tries his luck but finds the wall. Still not clear though, and that slid into the net by Alonso Hernandez, and the United States have come back from a goal down to lead. Free kick hit the top of the wall, the Dutch couldn't clear, and Alonso Hernandez, who plays in Mexico for Monterrey, did really well. Killed the ball with one foot and then slid it into the corner with the other. That's a neatly taken goal. Opportunism from the 21-year-old on his 7th appearance for the under-23s. Gets his second goal overall for them and his first of this tournament, and it's all turned around. Well, they made the better start, the Dutch, but... And here's Dylan Cerner finding Julian Green. He's won the first corner of the second half. Goals by Kieswetter and Hernandez, turning the game on its head for the United States. There is Alonso Hernandez, one of the scorers, who's going to take this corner. on at the near post and in. Will Packwood got the header, and the Dutch couldn't prevent it from crossing the line. And early in the second half, only a minute into it, the United States have a 3-1 lead. It's Will Packwood. You'll see him there with a flick of the head, and the desperate attempt to keep the header out is unsuccessful. 3-1 now to the US. Will Packwood of Birmingham City has opened up a 2-goal gap between the teams. What a start to the second half. And right after the Dutch coach introduced Ray Vleurt to try and pep up their attack, it's a big defender. We've given the US a 3-1 lead. And they'll be furious, the Dutch, to concede from a set piece. But concede they do. That's 5. Good header clear by Metzger, who's a no-nonsense defensive midfield player. He's been brought on to do precisely that sort of work. Here's El Ghazi. Wonderful tackle by Pelosi, but not such a good ball. But it doesn't really matter for the US, as long as they can keep stemming Dutch attacks at source, they'll be all right. There's the French coach looking on, Francis Smerecki, knowing that if his team win today, they'll be halfway to the final. French it is who have the advantage, being the hosts, of getting a break in the middle of the group. They play 2 games, then they sit it out, then they get 2 more. Qatar having to play 4 in a row. It's a stoppage here for an injury to Vincent Janssen, who's happily now back on his feet. I think the Americans are beginning to sense that the job is done, although Herzog will want them to concentrate until the very end. Ray Vleurt picks up a yellow in the midst of all that. The normal disciplinary rules apply here. If you get a yellow card in 2 separate matches, you serve a 1-match ban. Obviously the same applies to any red cards, unless it's deemed violent conduct, in which the organisers can lengthen the suspension. We've only had 1 red card in the tournament so far. That was Dominic Iorfa last night, the England right back, for 2 yellows. They'll sit out their next game against Ivory Coast. Free kick to the Americans. This is O'Neill. Morris. Robinson. Morris again finding Pelosi, who can't quite return the compliment. Here's Vleurt. Robinson did well. Here's Metzger. Cerner. Space for Karoma Sams, but he's offside again. Victory for the United States. They did it the hard way, coming back from a goal down after an error by Cody Cropper allowed Dowdy to open the scoring for the Dutch.